Okay, the bar emerger, specifically the Bead Head Barr Emerger, is one of my favorite patterns and has been for years. I have tied a lot of variations of it, most of them to simplify, but this is just going to hold true to the original. And if you haven't had a chance to look at John Barr's limited edition book where he goes over most of his patterns, give it a look. We'll have a link at the end or down in the description. So you can take a look at that book. Anyway, we're going to get started with a 2487 TMCO with I use a brass bead here, and I like it because it doesn't sink as fast. I can use it as droppers. But we're going to go ahead, and I just like to change the angle of this so I can tie in the tails a little bit better. So we'll get started with our thread and work back to the tail tie-in area, which is just a little bit around the bend. And then for the tail fibers, you can use any brown hackle fiber that you want. I just have this random Chinese saddle and 5 to 6 fibers. What I usually do is I set them on there, kind of hold that, and then I pull them to width or to length. And I like them just a smidge shorter than the body length. And then I just like to work my way up, cover this up, and then go back down. We'll have to build up a taper anyway. Trim off the excess there. Okay, now for the dubbing, I use a mix of super fine dubbings, olive and brown. And so that's what it looks like. This combination with the gray is killer. I've had some days on the Green River in Utah where this color combination in April and May was just insane. So I think there is something about this color combination, so I do recommend you getting both colors and combining them. So it's about a 50-50 match. Maybe a little bit more dark, a little bit more of the brown. But what we want to do is just thread or dub rope this noodle, whatever, and keep it fairly sparse. We definitely want it to taper up as well. Now, if it helps, you can use some dubbing wax. And I'll dub that up to there and then just reposition the hook. And I want to tie off just right about at the hook point. All right, now I like to do these flashback, so I'm going to grab some ice blue pearl tinsel and just tie that in that thorax area. And then I'm going to grab the counterpart hackle, which is a gray, and again, these are just Chinese saddle hackles. Super cheap, nothing fancy. Now on these ones you want quite a few more fibers because this is going to be our wing case and our legs. So at least double the fibers what you use for the tail. Now you can do this a couple different ways. If you want, you can measure them about to the body's length, tie them in, and then you pull them over and back to be the wing or the legs. John, at least in the book, shows that he cuts the legs. I find that to be a little simpler, so we're going to do it that way. So what I'll do here is where these are the thickest, I'm just going to tie in the base right on top, and you can kind of use the thread torque to round off the fibers so that they cover, and then we'll just trim this to be clean-ish. Alright, next is our Thorax Dubbing, which will be some also superfine, but this is the Adams Gray. And again, you don't need a lot of this, so it's better to add less and then need more. And I just make sure I'm covering up back to the hook point. So that's about the proportion I want there. And now take all of those fibers and you want to pull them forward, and you're going to have to do a little pinch wrap here. So you pinch your fingers, weave your thread up underneath, and then let go, and that will trap them. Got a little bubble of hackle there. We'll just loosen and pull. And then what I'll do is I like to loosen it and then just take my thumb, and that kind of spreads those out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to split the fibers. It's going to be hard to see, but I'm going to just take my fingers and split them and pull them back to each side. And you want to do this at a downward facing angle. So you can use your thumb, kind of hold them down there at that angle, and then pinch that off. And then you can come in front here, and then some wraps that will secure those down just like that. Not the prettiest looking, but it will actually work. Now I'm going to take the tinsel and pull it pretty snug. Then I'm going to come down a couple of wraps on top, and then a couple in front. You need sharp scissors to get this close. Okay, now I'm just going to whip finish here. Again, these TMCO midge whip finishers are the bomb. And we're done. Actually not. Unless we want this to be a fatty long tail, which we don't. We're going to come in here. You can do these together, but I want them about half the length of the body. So I just come up in here, pull them both back, snappa. Now a lot of people don't like the trimmed look here, so if you want, you can take that those saddle hackle fibers and measure them out so that when you pull these back, these are the tips and they don't have to be cut. But that's the bar, the Bead Head Barr, and just for good measure we can throw a little tiny bit of resin on top. And then zap it. So this is the Beatus version, blue-winged olive. Link to all the materials down below. You can get them at store.flyfishfood.com as well. And go ahead and use this in your during your blue-winged olive, mayfly, or Beatus, whatever you call them, hatches on your local waters.